Waiting for record rains isn't particularly the best time to start thinking about whether you have flood insurance. And being in a floodplain isn't the only time you should consider it. Here to tell us about flood insurance, Mike Tedford of Tedford Insurance. Mike, thank you for sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you, Daryl.
Is being in a floodplain the only time you should consider having flood insurance for your home or business?
Absolutely not, because of the fact that the scenario you're dealing with is your homeowner's policy does not cover flood. And so
no homeowner's policy
homeowner's policy covers flood. Okay, your business owner's policy doesn't cover flood either.
Okay.
So surface waters are your problem. So we're not talking necessarily about rising water from the river, rising water from a creek. Any surface waters could result in water damage to your home or your business.
So who does cover flood? What, is this a special policy you have to get?
Flood insurance is a special policy. It's generally backed by the government, the pricing will depend on your hazard. And what I mean by hazard is how serious the circumstances is that you might incur.
So if you are in a flood zone, you would obviously be paying more. Someone who's not in a flood zone, the risks are less and the flood insurance would be cheap, but wow, as we were talking about the risks versus the reward, it could be a good option for you.
Absolutely, it could be a good option because any circumstances, a discussion of construction in your area could divert water near your home into your home, which would result in flood damage.
One of my favorite stories is someone who bought a home on the side of a hill that had water due to construction coming through their back door and out their front door, and who would have ever thought on the side of a hill that you would have a flood problem?
That would be a perfectly good example of a circumstance that could happen to you that flood insurance would be valuable. And in their case, being on the side of a hill, not in a flood zone, the insurance would have been relatively inexpensive for them.
The government insures this, so you are writing a policy through a government program.
It's government backed. You're buying it actually from an insurance company that is in turn getting it backed by the government. What
are some of the myths of flood insurance?
Well, one of the things is that you only have to get it if you're in a flood zone. That is not true. Okay. Another myth might be that the government will take care of me in the event that it floods. I don't need a flood policy because they'll back it. And what you always need to remember is in that circumstance, it has to be declared an emergency. And even when it is declared an emergency, funding may be slow to follow. There are a lot of problems with just counting on the government to help you out in the event that something happens.
A lot of problems counting on the government generally.
That would be true.
So get the policy if you have any concern about that at all.
If you have any concern about that at all, I would recommend get the policy.
What does a typical policy cost for flood insurance?
It could be $500 a year, just depending on your circumstances.
So monthly, it's negligible
yes.
if you feel like you have any risk on that.
That is true.
Well, Mike Tedford, Tedford Insurance, 299-2345 or tedfordinsurance.com. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Daryl.